My name is Carl, and I'm 28 years old. I've been a doctor for a few months now, and every day I wake up grateful for the chance to do what I love. But getting to this point wasn't easy, and the journey to becoming a doctor wasn't paved with gold, it was paved with hard work, sacrifice, and a lot of uncertainty. I grew up in a small town, the son of 2 teachers. We weren't poor, but we certainly didn't have extra money lying around. I always knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't realize how expensive medical school was until I was staring down my acceptance letter. The reality hit me like a freight train. I couldn't afford it. There was no way my parents could pay for it, and I didn't have wealthy relatives who could step in. I worked part-time jobs throughout high school, from waiting tables to tutoring, trying to save enough for college. But even with the money I'd saved, it wasn't close to enough. So, I did what many students in my position do, I took out loans. Big loans. By the time I stepped onto the campus of my medical school, I was already in debt, with the weight of those loans pressing down on me. The first few years were the hardest. Medical school was a marathon, not a sprint, and I had to work harder than I ever had in my life. There were countless nights when I stayed up studying, sometimes falling asleep at my desk, surrounded by textbooks. I knew it would be worth it in the end, but there were moments when I doubted myself, when I thought maybe I'd taken on more than I could handle. There were also the financial worries. Despite scholarships and grants, I still had a mountain of debt, and it seemed like it would never go away. I worked odd jobs to help make ends meet, babysitting, tutoring, anything I could find. It wasn't easy, but I kept pushing through. I thought about my parents, how proud they'd be when I finally made it. I thought about the patients I could one day help, and that kept me going. Finally, after years of struggle, I graduated. It was a bittersweet moment. I felt accomplished, but I was still facing years of paying off student loans, and the pressure of beginning my residency was looming. Residency was no easier. It was long hours, emotional exhaustion, and constant pressure. But I had no choice but to keep going. Then, one day, I had my first patient. She was an older woman, suffering from chronic pain that had been misdiagnosed for years. As I listened to her, I realized that this was why I had worked so hard, why I had sacrificed so much. I had the chance to make a real difference in someone's life. That was the turning point. The years of struggle, the debt, the sleepless nights, they all seemed worth it in that moment. I was doing what I dreamed of, helping people, making an impact. Every patient I see now, every life I touch, reminds me that all the hardships were part of the journey. It's still early in my career, and I know the road ahead isn't always going to be easy. But when I walk into that hospital room and see the trust in my patients' eyes, I know it was all worth it. Every sacrifice, every late night, every stressful exam, it led me here. To this moment. To this life. And there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Being a doctor isn't just a job for me, it's my calling, my purpose. And even though it was a tough journey, I wouldn't trade a single moment of it. Because helping people is what makes everything worthwhile.